co-founder of Shambhala, who's visiting me here in Provence. Or we're gonna have a conversation about the project which she's been working on. Okay, so tell us something about Shambhala. What is it about? Why the name? And where the idea came from?
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Andy Kennedy. I'm here in beautiful Provence. I'm so excited to be here. I've never been to Provence. I've been to France many times, but not this far south. So it's lovely here. And I am originally from Northern Virginia. Have lived all over the country of U.S. and all over even the world. And when I graduated from art school in the 90s, so I'm dating myself, I went out to Oregon to live on an intentional community called Lost Valley Educational Center, which is outside of Eugene, Oregon, where the university is, and spent a whole summer learning about permaculture, herbalism, earthships, cob building, plants, and ecoforestry and urban farming. And I feel like that planted a seed that I did not bring to harvest until now,
Mm-hmm.
20 plus years later. I lived, after Oregon, I lived in Scotland, and then I moved to Colorado, and I spent 25 years in Colorado. And towards the end of my time in Colorado, I worked at a sustainability nonprofit called the Yampa Valley Sustainability Center, or Council. And the variety of things that we spoke on and educated on and taught and had lectures on and meetings and workshops. Um, it really, I feel like, stirred the pot for me, green building,
Mm-hmm.
um, capturing waste streams. I worked on zero waste projects, um, energy efficiency, solar, all of that. It really continued to, water and feed the original dream and vision that was like what I lived on in Oregon. So fast forward then to 2021, during the pandemic, everybody's like, I can move anywhere I want to. Watch your tail, buddy. You're going to knock that over. I can move anywhere I want to. I can work from anywhere. And my husband and I were really kind of already thinking maybe it was time for a change. Because we lived in Steamboat and we love it there. It was beautiful, but the prices were really increasing and things were changing. And so we started looking at land in Tennessee. Well, we started looking all over the country. We looked at 5 or 6 different states, and we landed on Tennessee. So there's water there for 50 years, was a priority of mine, because there's no water in the western part of the United States or here, right? Um, uh, Affordable cost of living, lots of people already doing what we wanted to be doing. I felt a little bit like an island in Colorado. There weren't a lot of people doing permaculture. I was a master gardener with the CSU program, but still on the scale that I wanted to do, there was home gardens, but no big community, cooperative gardening. You just sort of lots of pockets of independence, versus like collective. Um, so that's what led us to buying 40 acres in Tennessee. We have 2 partners currently, a couple and a single woman, who are going in on this project with us, and we're looking for 4 or 5 more families,
Mm-hmm.
to get to 6 or 8 maybe families total. We originally wanted 10, but we were also looking for more like 100 acres. So we have 40 acres, which, what did we say the other day, is like,
Yeah,
how many hectares?
for France.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. We're gonna
I
check.
forget. No, I did look it up, but I totally
Yeah.
deleted it. So I feel like it was twice as much, or half as much.
I think it's half as
Half
much.
as much.
Mm-hmm.
So I said it was like 17 hectares, right?
It was
And you
like
were
17 hectares.
yeah.
We have, for all you who are following Food in Provence, we have 2 hectares. So 17 hectares for 5 families seems like a
Good size.
good size,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
for growing food. And I wanted to ask you, we both do also, we are affiliated with a global leader of plant-based nutrition. And
We are.
I was just wondering, uh, because it complements each other, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Permaculture and growing our own food
Absolutely.
on Tower Garden. So, was it from the beginning? You told about like this is such a good fit, you know,
Yeah,
plant-based
absolutely.
nutrition. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, so most people are not going to move into the country and grow their own food.
Mhm.
Most people
Right.
know that they don't get enough nutrients from the food they buy at the grocery store because it's, grown far away or not in nutrient rich soil. They know a lot of people have touched it. Sometimes there are recalls on food at the grocery store, at least in the US, for E.
In
coli.
Europe as well.
Yeah, E.
Yeah.
coli. And so people know they want to keep their food safe. But it's hard to grow your own food. So filling that gap of not only what you eat but the quality of what you eat, I say that our whole food concentrate, Juice Plus powders, are the cleanest. Even though I grow food, the cleanest food and most nutrient dense food in our house, because the farmers who grow our fruits and vegetables are third generation small batch farmers who, well, I say small batch, but we are the largest grower, I think, of or second largest grower of cranberries in the U.S.
Yeah.
But still, on that scale of mostly, very intentional, high quality practice farmers that it would take me personally years to get to growing my own food. Even though I grew food in Colorado, that food, I'm not testing the soil all of the time, and I'm not, mitigating, pests all of the time, and I'm not watching for little things that they're watching for because that's their that's their business, that's their livelihood, and it matters to millions of people around the world because the food that we grow with Juice Plus goes to people, millions of people around the world. So that's amazing. And then the Tower Garden, it's an interesting story with the Tower Garden because I was working at the Sustainability Council, and Lori, our business mentor and partner, 17 years with Juice Plus and Tower Garden. When Tower Garden came out in 2012, she called me up and said, Andy, this is being released, announced. This is our brand new product. I want to bring it to YVSC and do a presentation on it in our monthly community meeting. And we were all like, of course, this sounds amazing. So she brought it. She talked about aeroponics, how much more nutrient dense the food is because it's constantly getting nutrients and water, how sustainable it is because it uses less than 10%, anywhere from 2 to 10% of the water of traditional gardening. It grows faster, more efficiently, all of that. And so we were all like, oh, this is a total no-brainer. Like you said, this is mind-blowing. So that's actually going to be our first garden on Shambhala, is that we're going to have a high tunnel we have 7 tower gardens between the 5 of us. Those will be our first gardens because we're capturing water. We don't have a well yet, so it will use less water, and we'll have year-round produce on these towers.
And nobody else touched it, right?
That's
Because
right.
maybe you don't know. If you don't know, then Andy is also an online teacher, and she has a course, Manifesting with Synchronicity. And just yesterday we talked about the energy and vibration of food, right? So if your food is grown somewhere like 1,000 miles or kilometers, if you're in Europe away, and just imagine all those hands with all those different energies, and maybe they were, upset and they touched it, and then uh, the vegetables and fruits, they absorb the energy. So
Yeah.
with Tower Garden or with growing your food in soil, you know that it was only you who touched it. And if you are, like, for example, cleaning your house with smudging, right? You don't want to buy something which was grown
Thousands of miles
thousands
away.
of miles away. So
Yeah.
we really encourage everyone to grow their own herbs, their own
Yeah.
fruit,
Oh,
veggies, and
especially
so on.
herbs are so easy to grow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
especially herbs. But I was just touching this thinking, it's like crystals. Crystals absorb the energy, and we're constantly, if you're someone that practices and works with crystals, you have to constantly clear them. I just gave a
Exactly.
tiger's eye bracelet to her son,
Yeah.
Lauren, and I said, there's a full moon coming up. Put it out in your window because it has my energy in it. It has the airplane. It has, London crazy energy in it. I said, most of that's good energy, but when you come across how many ever people I've come across wearing that bracelet, you pick up their energy, and crystals help us clear that. But you don't clear your food. Like, how often? I
Exactly.
mean, most people, I don't even remember all of the time to just sit before I eat, because Hannah is also mind body eating coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to sit and eat slowly, but also to give grace and thanks to the farmers, to the
Thank
people who have
you.
grown this.
Because this November is a month of gratitude,
Right.
right? So this is really, really important, and that's why we're like people who practice Christianity. You don't have to be Christian to sit down with your meal and be thankful
That's right.
for
Yeah, say
the
grace.
meal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, and I do love that practice. In the class that I teach, is that Hannah mentioned, this manifesting with synchronicity, is based on the Celestine prophecy, and I was going to circle back to that because, especially now, we're talking about religion a little bit, and the 12th insight talks about taking the best of all religions to make, your practice. So whether you are a devout, practitioner or whatever of, a devotee of a specific religion or not, that concept of like, oh, I'm going to pluck this from Buddhism and Muslim, and is not common. Most people are like, oh, that's sacrilegious to like be multifaceted in your religious beliefs. But for someone like me that was not raised with religion, it feels natural for me to go, okay, I'm gonna take this practice, and this say grace over my food, and give thanks to this food, and really use that, incorporate that into, and setting intention. So that's something that we talk about in the third insight of the Celestine prophecy, is really appreciating your plants, breathing oxygen into these plants, because that's what they breathe, and our carbon dioxide, because that's what they need, and then they breathe back to us, right, and give us oxygen. But also that intention and love. There's been studies that have been done on plants, that if you pray into your plants, they grow stronger. They have brighter, vibrant colors. They grow faster, and they are, and when tested in the end, they are more nutrient dense. And I do believe that is something that our Juice Plus family of farmers practices. They give their plants so much love and light, and that's what makes these plant powders so much more vibrant and special.
It's so beautiful to talk about love and light when it comes to gardening, right? Because we know that there are only really two emotions, love and fear.
Yeah.
And we had so much fear within the last 2 years.
Right.
So we just have to find ways how to bring back light and love to everything we do. Do you practice in your like gardening and permaculture lunar like association of plants and lunar gardening?
Absolutely. And that's biodynamics.
Yeah.
And absolutely, there's a biodynamic farmer in Tennessee that I met right away online, because we started, reaching out to people who lived there already before we went, and I did, and said, hey, we're coming. This is our plan. What do you do? Can I tour your farm? And so TJ is a farmer on Vuck Farms, and when Craig and I went out the first time in March of this year, we visited Vuck Farms and helped or watch him put up a high tunnel, he and his neighbor, and I did a little time lapse of it. But he practices that regenerative biodynamic, and listening to him is like going to church for me.
Wow.
Like really, like how much intention goes in, and how the lunar calendar matters, astrological calendar matters, and we did one of our permaculture design course weekends on Vuck Farms, and he was like standing on the compost pile, like preaching about, sometimes that word has a negative connotation, but I'm using it positively here, like really fully preaching about like how the energy comes from the sun and source and light and love, other dimensionally and interdimensionally and intergalactic, and it's our divine right, but also necessity to harness that love and light and put it into the earth. and we can only do that with the assistance of the planetary um, influence, right? Because the moon we know the moon magnifies. Look at the ebb and the flow of the ocean.
Mm.
The moon can control that much energy on our planet at once, right? Why would you not tap into that and use that and understand that when the moon, is withdrawing, the energy is withdrawing, or when the moon is, waxing, the energy is waxing, right? So, and getting bigger and more vibrant, right? So, I have it on my calendar every year to plant my garlic in the and the moon of the full moon of the October energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're using balance, you're using Libra, but you're also using the full moon, which is that really that springtime, because the moon is in the full moon is in the opposite sign
Mm-hmm.
of the sun every month. So that is balance, but that is also capturing the energy of spring.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
fascinating to me.
fascinating. And if you don't plan your plans according to the lunar cycle, there are books actually which I use because, like,
Oh
I'm a
yeah, so
mother
much.
of four, and don't have time or I forget. So you have books like this, and they tell you exactly what's the best time to plant your garlic or plant your trees. We just planted olive trees a few days ago. So yeah, wonderful. I love this connection between, like, it's really macrocosm and microcosm,
True.
like micronutrients and macronutrients.
True.
It all comes down really
Yeah.
to
Yeah, same with the planets,
connection.
right? Like the planets are
Yeah.
this big giant map of energy, and it's focused on us only in a particular moment of the year. And that's what is fascinating to me, is like that cosmic energy is like in a microscope or a magnifying glass energy, and it's, if you use it right, it can really help to make your harvest a success and your grow season a
Mm.
success. And it was always fascinating to me too, like whatever all of the master gardeners had trouble with was always the same. Like, oh, it was a bad broccoli year, but it was a good tomato year, right? And I feel like that is is we're all connected. That's the macrocosm speaking.
Yeah.
We're all connected. The season has a wet year or a dry year. The season has a warm year or a
Mm.
cool year,
Mm.
or there are those cycles, and so certain plants respond better, or
Mm.
worse to those cyclical differences, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
all part of permaculture,
uh,
and
mm.
and making sure that those balances and everything. Same with biodynamics is all taken into account. Funniest thing is, one of our new friends in Tennessee said to me when he was saying, TJ, and he does biodynamics, and I said, yeah. He said most people think that's like garden witchcraft, like voodoo. And I said, I couldn't tell whether he was being serious or not, and I'm like, I've practiced astrology for like 30 years. Like, that's not voodoo.
Mm.
Like, why would you not take something that is so ancient the Egyptians used it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Mm.
It works.
And it's all about the connection, right? So, like, I've heard so many people within the last 2 years say that they were feeling lonely and depressed. If you imagine that everything is connected,
Mm.
then you can never feel alone.
Yeah, so
Right.
there's a practice in Buddhism called Metta Bhavana that's like that. It's like you start out with your love and light, and just, okay, love self, or love the things that I love, or focus on your pets,
No.
something that can generate that unconditional love within you, your children, or the place of, that you really resonate with,
Mm.
and you generate that. And then the next layer is, okay, I'm going to do this with someone that I love, my spouse, my children, my family, my friends. And then you take it another layer, and you're doing 7 minutes, which is a sacred number. You did 7 minutes of each layer. And then
Mm.
the third layer is a stranger, but a stranger that has positive, oh, I see this person on the subway, or I see this person at I drop my child off at school, and we kind of wave like we know each other, but we don't really know each other. So a positive stranger. And then 7 minutes on someone that's challenged you lately, like someone
Uh-huh.
that you work with that you're like,
Or family members,
yeah,
right?
family member that, like, you're like, oh my gosh, this person is not hearing me, or their drama is
Uh-huh.
affecting my reality. And or someone even even like some it can be minimal or big. You know, most people feel like that about certain politicians. I won't bring into the conversation, right? But same. And then the last layer is you just putting that love and light out into the world. And I love this practice. If you go to my website, andykennedyco.com, and click on meditations, Metta Bhavana's at the end.
And we'll
it's a free
put
one.
all links under this video,
Great,
so you
thank
can
you.
you can like go down deep
Yeah.
the rabbit hole, because we are all about going like really deep, and all our conversations are really deep. So, and I love that. It was a wonderful interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more like this.
Yeah.
Bye.